Hello, Jonny Long here with another advert for you. Now just be thankful I'm not trying to sell you ketones or subscriptions to some mental health app. Anyway, the reason I'm not here selling you any of that stuff is because I've got something much better and much cheaper, which actually helps us keep those sorts of ads at bay. We're running our $1 promotion again during this Tour de France, which means you can sign up for just $1 or £1 or €1 and access all of our articles and member-only podcasts for a month. Support independent cycling journalism. Ensure these are the only sorts of ads you hear on our podcast or see on our site. Join the movement in this little corner of the internet. Come on. You're presumably listening to this podcast of your own free will, maybe even enjoying it. Let's dare to hope. I understand if you've been on the fence about signing up for yet another subscription. So what we're trying to do is tease you into it, lure you, and once you're in and you're all warm and nice, you'll never want to leave. That's the name of this capitalist game. Don't resist it. Come on home. So visit escapecollective.com/TDF to take up this special limited time offer. $1, escapecollective.com/TDF. What else can you actually buy for $1 these days? With inflation, that dollar is just going to keep becoming worth less and less, so you might as well spend it now.
Welcome back to the Escape Collective Tour Daily Podcast, everybody. I'm Caley Fretz. Excellent stage for you. Stage 8 at this Tour de France, won by none other than Biniam Girmay. His second stage win of the Tour further solidifies his green jersey lead. Here to talk about it with me, Jonny Long.
What's up? Here we go.
How's England doing?
1-1 extra time, but I'm committed to this podcast.
You're committed to this podcast.
More than my nationality.
More than your whole country.
I've been on this podcast for two years now.
How long have you
1
been
year.
English?
All my life. Well, British technically. I think if you describe yourself as English, that's got connotations.
I just can't understand all of it. Also joining me, Iain Trellor.
Hi. I couldn't really give a shit about the football.
That's because you're distracted by something else, which we'll get onto later.
Yeah,
we'll
so really briefly, as a tease, what are you distracted by?
I want to see llamas.
They're alpacas.
You're like Jeff Goldblum in a much more disappointing version of Jurassic Park.
I'll just hear their delicate little hooves.
So it puts the green jersey. It's not out of reach. Biniam Girmay currently has 216 points. Jasper Philipsen has 128. If he went on a run, if he went and won the next 4 or 5 sprint stages,
and there are lots.
And there's still at least 4 left, if not 5. He could easily overhaul that, but I think that Girmay is going to start probably going for intermediates. Mess Peterson dropped out of the race today, and he was kind of the primary opposition for those intermediate sprints that maybe require a bit more climbing ability. I think that we could be looking. I don't want to jinx anything. We could be looking at the first Eritrean jersey taken to the end of the Tour.
Mads Pedersen was also in second position in the competition when he dropped out, so there is quite a divide between Jasper Philipsen and Girmay. But would we say that Philipsen has shown any...
I think for him it's more of a byproduct of winning stages.
Yeah.
Unless it's close and then you're like, okay, it's worth the effort.
But even then, has he shown much sign of being anywhere near the form he had last year?
Well, not yet. I thought you were going to say, does he have any sign of wanting the green jersey? And
I don't care about that. No. He wants to win stages.
But then I was going to say he has that green Porsche last year, so maybe
he just
that highlights.
Spray paint it grey.
The stage into Torino, which was the first sprint stage, he finished 118th. Not so good.
Oh.
But then he's been second twice, right? He was second into Senfelba, where Mark Cavendish took his 35th, and then he was second again today into Colombe-les-Deux-Églises. It's not that he doesn't have the form. I think it was a little bit surprising he didn't come around Cav, to be perfectly honest. I think that we would have probably put money on him coming around Cav. Certainly last year, I think he would have. But today was the perfect sprint for Biniam Girmay. I think that is worth keeping in mind. That Philipsen was it wasn't the best day for him, right? Like we drove through the finish, right?
We were surprised.
So sometimes the route that they take us on goes on to the finish before sort of leaving the race course again. So we drove the last 2K or so of the course today, and it's a drag. So you can kind of see it on TV. It dropped down basically to the Flamme Rouge. And then all the way from the Flamme Rouge all the way up to the finish was just this kind of nasty drag. And the last 100 meters was actually a pretty serious kick. So if you've got a rider like Biniam Girmay, who probably is 15 kilos lighter than Jasper Philipsen, that is a serious advantage on a finale like that.
You could see what it was like even from that head-on shot and how long that final kilometre took. Like usually when it's one of those flat sprint stages and they're going just like warp speed, it's just done. Like once the off Flamme Rouge, it's like, okay, quick bit of positioning, open the sprint, done. Whereas you saw like
It was
confidence
a sprint in slow motion.
Yeah, and they're kind of fun because it's like the time just yawns out and you're not sure when people are going to start their sprints. Like Coquard came to the front for Cofidis and
I felt really bad for him.
Felt bad for him, but you were like, oh, this is the moment. But then you realised that actually everyone else who was, going to fight for the victory.
Coquard, I have a soft spot for Brian Coquard, and the reason I have a soft spot for Brian Coquard is because, and I think I've told this story before, and some of you might remember this incident, which was when he lost to Marcel Kittel by probably the tightest photo finish I've ever seen at the Tour de France, and he lost to Marcel Kittel, who was in the middle of a Tour stage-winning spree. Right, for Marcel Kittel, it was just another stage, and for Brian Coquard, he's never won a Tour stage, and he was within.
Has he still never won one?
Nope.
Wow.
Tiny little itty-bitty bits of a millimeter was all that stood between him and winning this Tour stage. And so I'm kind of rooting for him ever since, just to finally get it. And frankly, he's near the end of his career. Stages like today, because he's also on the smaller end for sprinters, are really good for him. Unfortunately, Cofidis dropped him off at about 500 meters to go.
Yeah.
And so he ended up pulling the world's best lead out for all the rest of the sprinters.
And he finished 37th.
Rough.
The rest of the sort of top places actually are slightly interesting. Pogacar was 13th. Evenepoel was 10th. I'm just trying to find out where Jonas Vingegaard is. He was 33rd, so he was just like chilling. Update on our very own specific cares. Fred Wright 8th, so his wrist is doing better after he seemed to sound a bit worried yesterday. The Bahrain Victorious press officer did walk past this morning at the start and asked me if I'd spoken to Fred yet this tour, which I found quite a barbed question in terms of like maybe a policeman would ask a stalker. The press officer forgetting it is my job to talk to the riders. But yeah, so that's fun. Pascal Ackermann 4th.
Yep.
That's like the Sprinters Heimar Zubeldia Award, because I didn't realise that he was here. And I also forgotten he rode for Israel Premier Tech. Yeah. Weird.
I thought that was maybe Stevie Williams just from the
I think you maybe the condensation had got on your glasses a bit and you weren't able to see through them.
There were some steamy windows.
Yeah. Have we talked about steamy windows on the podcast
we
yet?
We haven't
not?
yet, but we've been. Let's just tease it.
Yeah.
We'll just leave it there, and when Stevie does something, and he will do something this tour.
That's how we'll open the podcast.
It's in our back pocket. We have something ready for you all, and I think you should be very excited.
They might be able to figure it out. It's not that hard.
The other interesting thing that kind of came out of today, and Jonny, you're sort of halfway through a story about this, so by the time people listen, it will be in their
I will have uploaded
website.
It. Yep.
No, brakes aren't going. It's very weird. It's really weird. So first of all, this isn't just us noticing this. I asked Charlie Wegelius about this at the finish line, and well, let's just throw to him.
Well, it's been a strange race so far, I can't lie to you. Typically in a race of this prestige, there's plenty of people who are prepared to take even small chances. Apparently not so until now. I'm not really sure why. I mean, I can understand the actions of the teams controlling the race, but I'm not really sure, honestly, why more people aren't, I guess, risking a bit more. And I guess just that means that when they do go, it's going to go quite a brutal way.
Is this something you chat about with other directors, or?
No, but with Tom and Andreas we discuss it obviously, and every day that you make a tactic there's a large part of it that's dependent on other people's actions as well. So if you want to take initiative and other people don't, then as Andreas says, you can't fight against windmills. So it is what it is.
So Charlie agrees. It's weird. Like no one's taking risks. No one is going for the long bomb. And I think the particular weird thing about this for me is that it worked a bunch of times last year and it worked a bunch of times at the Giro just a couple months ago.
We were walking to the car at the end of today's proceedings, and Jonny, you were explaining that you had a theory that it maybe all came down to the teams optimizing and just trying to do better and make sensible decisions. But if your Total Energies or Cofidis, it's not working. Like it's a you're not going to. It's not going to do anything for you. It's not going to pan out.
Well, so spoke to I've forgotten his name. Sorry, the Irish guy, H2R, Netflix famous, Barrett. Steve. Is it Steve Barrett?
Ron
Barrett.
Your man.
He's not called Ron. He can't be called Ron.
Your man, Barrett.
Ron sounds American.
It's definitely not Ron.
I think it's Steve.
Good.
Anyway,
Steve Barrett?
chatted to him. I was trying to talk to someone on the French team. I'd already messaged Arkea and Total Energies during the day asking if they had anyone English on staff who I could talk to about why those particular teams, Arkea and Total Energies, who should, in the politest way, be breakaway for
It is their reason for existing.
That's why they're at the tour.
Yeah.
To sell Arkeas and Total Energies.
And they're not Total Energy. They're not even half
They're
energy.
like medium.
They're at most selling partial energy at the moment.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sort of a solar energy, but in the UK, where it's about to rain for 10 days, I've been told. Anyway, managed to actually get to another French team, H2R, asked for if I could speak to someone who spoke English, got directed to the Irish guy, who explained that teams are just optimising for the best breakaway stages, the best chance there, and don't want to burn matches. And also, which I need to actually fully analyse while I write the piece, is how many teams have come here with either a sprinter who's a good chance of winning, because it's quite even this year so far it seems, or have a sort of GC hopeful. And especially because we've got Evenepoel, Roglic, Vingegaard, Pogačar, GC 5th through 10 is actually fairly competitive. So teams are also wanting to save energy for that.
Yeah,
and it's the first week, and it's been hectic.
Total Energies, it's your job. It's why you're here.
Yeah, but I think you can't. If you admit that to yourself as Total Energies, you've got. And if no one else is doing it, then you're like, well, why are we doing it? Maybe you have to pretend to yourself that you're here to race rather than parade, like you're part of the caravan and not a professional athlete.
Have you ever heard of Jourdain Gégat?
Okay, we don't need to get personal with this. I'm sure he's.
He could have gone in the breakaway today.
Well, we've seen Jeffrey
Thomas Gachinard.
Jeffrey Soup's been hanging around the start village as an invitee of some company or other, and that's because of his breakaway exploits. So if these riders were thinking, get yourself in the break, do the little, you get TV time, your family get to see you, then you drop out, you get caught, you do a little wave to the camera, and then just roll in.
You know who we haven't seen a lot of this year?
Who?
Matthew Bergadu.
Well, you were trying to see more of him this morning, weren't you?
I was desperately trying to see Matthew Bergadu this morning.
But then it started raining heavily, and everything was scuppered.
Pretty miserable morning at the start. There was lots of rain.
Bucketed it down.
Matthew Bergadu would not talk to me, and I had really good and relevant to the race questions to ask him.
Did you? No, you did.
Like whether he ever looks at Julian Alaphilippe and forgets which one he is.
I can't imagine he's going to react well to that question when you do get to ask him.
Whether if he goes into a Total Energies service station, ever poses next to a cardboard cutout of himself.
Oh, that's a good question.
It is a good question.
But he's been upgraded now on the Total Energies advertisements. Because he used to rely heavily on Pierre Latour, and now they've moved Mathieu Bergadu in. New season.
On the strength of his tour last year, where he did really well.
From breakaways, if I recall.
From breakaways.
Odd how this all works, and there was an ecosystem which fully supported the lesser teams comparatively.
He got 3 top 10s in stages last year, finished as high as 2nd, and then if we compare and contrast, which it is our job to do as professional bicycle cycling journalists, his best result is 43rd in the time trial, and he's only been outside of the 100s one other time. I think, crucially, maybe the 2nd and 3rd week are better for breakaways. There's a few more lumpier stages that aren't such nailed on sprint days, especially when you've got so many teams that are willing to put the work in to bring it back. I mean, Little Trek, now they've lost Mads Pedersen, I think they'll change tact a bit, and when it's not a climbing day for Giulio Ciccone, and he'll obviously have his helpers there, they might be more, maybe it's just a balance, right? And you need more teams that are willing to help out and make a break work. So today we saw EF send 2 riders up the road, and only Jonas Abrahamsson, the polka dot jersey, was willing to go with them. So they kind of looked at each other and were like, nah, this is hiding to nothing. Abrahamsson then goes up the road, sweeps up the points, has a nice little day out front, and then the EF guys are like, this isn't the day. Back into the pack. I think there's something fundamentally broken with the system if a French team is not the team that's doing the doomed breakaway. We don't need a Norwegian doing a deeply doomed solo breakaway at the Tour de France.
No, but that is also, it's the teams that are probably not winning anything else. That's why they do it.
Yeah.
You know what really grinds my gears? I have things that grind my gears. And today,
I believe you.
today was so I have
Usually
often
it's me or you,
complained
Iain.
about the sort of like eternal quest for optimization in this sport, right? Fine. Ronan loves it. It makes time trials slightly faster. It does all these things. It makes you more likely to win the bike race, which is important. But
Maybe.
like this is just like
Not really, though.
if we are now optimizing ourselves out of like the way that the Tour de France has always run, it's gonna like pretty fundamentally change what we do here at the
Yeah.
race and how we watch the race and what happens in the race and all these other things. And like, I don't know, there's something lost there. Like we joke about the Doom breakaway, but
We love it, really.
we love it. We love the
Yeah.
Doom, like and Jeffrey Soup is wandering around as a hero because
Yeah.
of his Doom breakaways,
Yeah.
not because they optimized their way into 175th.
Maybe because of his beard, also.
His beard is also
It's hard
really
to
good.
tell.
Yeah. I guess, my issue with it is, and this is kind of what Charlie said, right? It's like no one's willing to take the risks anymore because they've run the numbers, and the numbers are soulless, and that's not what cycling has always been. Cycling has it's this romantic thing. Like a century, decades and decades and decades.
Pissing on the side of the road and
of
getting
people
fined
doing
200 quid
silly
for it.
things because it was the brave and interesting thing to do. And if we just like data crunch our
Yeah.
way into oblivion, we end up with, okay, well then Tadej Pogacar wins all the mountain stages and the same sprinter wins all of the sprint stages, and
Mhm.
nobody takes risks anymore because the risks have been calculated. And yeah, if you calculate the risks, you don't take them. That's kind of the
You're
whole
saying no
point.
XG for cycling.
Definitely not. I mean,
Yeah.
I think, yeah. All right.
So
That's
no
what-
control
that's what-
van.
That's what grinds my gears.
Boom.
Is if you run the numbers, some of the things that we love about pro cycling stop happening.
We need to make you into some sort of shock jock. That's what this segment's going to be. Start clipping it on social and putting you into the algorithm.
I'm saying that the Tour de France is too calculated. Calculated sports are not fun sports. Stupid, doomed breaks not going at the Tour de France is a shame. And if goddamn mathematicians are at fault, then so help me.
The nerds and their
The
computers.
nerds and their computers.
They should. The wildcard team should have their own classification within themselves, and there's like a new sort of game where the most breakaway kilometers or other things, and it all adds up, and then whichever of those wildcard teams gets the most gets an automatic wildcard to the next year, regardless.
Yeah, some
And
sort
that
of
would be
incentive.
fun.
I mean, the world runs off incentives, right? So yeah, provide some. If the
Not
TV
out of
time is
good-
not enough incentive,
Goodwill towards other men.
then build an incentive in. Do we have any other thoughts on the sprint today?
Oh, on the sprint.
I just like it when it's slow mo like that and agonising. Like sometimes when it's fast, it gets a bit. You like tense up and.
I wasn't
Don't
that
enjoy as much.
Well, the other reason we weren't that worried about crashes today is because we were driving along and we're like, actually, the sides of the road look quite soft.
The side road looked soft. The road was very straight.
Yeah.
It was.
We're like, if you're going to crash, this right
is
here.
where you want to crash.
This
Yeah.
is great. You just like in a pile of
The,
sort of fluffy grass stuff.
Arnaud Delis looked like he maybe had the strongest finish, but unfortunately, his positioning was tucked behind, couldn't quite squeeze himself through. If he comes away from this tour without a stage victory, I think he'll be disappointed because he's looking strong. That's literally all that team has to look forward to, I think.
Yeah. He had a sizable fan club today. Did you notice that?
I saw their flag yesterday, and
Yeah.
it's a very well designed flag. Did you see it with the cartoon bull?
And they were singing. It was a bunch of youths. It was like 10 to 15 years old, and they were
he's
chanting.
captured the social media generation.
Yep.
All these people on their TikToks.
Yes, doing horn signs on their heads or something.
Well, I think that's pretty much what we've got from the bike race. We should maybe really, before we get to the second half of the show, which we were discussing in the car today. We're like, so we have all these things that we want to talk about, right? And
Nuggets.
sometimes we're not the best about sort of organizing them. So rather than just sort of have it go all over the place, second half of the show is just going to be a bit.
It's like our notebook
It's going to be the reporter's notebook of
of the day.
this podcast. So we'll start with sort of like what happened in the day, and then we'll go to that. So anyway, before we get to that, we should briefly talk about tomorrow, because tomorrow is the gravel stage. We've heard sort of answers from all the major riders on whether they think this is scary, whether they think it should be in the Tour, whether we're worried about it, whether they're excited about it. The general consensus seems to be it's not as hard as Strade Bianche. It's not as hard as like when they put the Roubaix cobbles in the Tour, for example, but it is going to be interesting. It's going to be a bit difficult. I wonder if part of the reason we didn't see a breakaway today is that if you were Mate Mohoric, you're looking at tomorrow and going, that's the breakaway day. Or someone like Tom's, right? I mean, Tom's podium at Strada this year.
Yeah.
Very good at riding off-road. I wonder if those guys were waiting for tomorrow, sort of to the point that you brought up, which is that they're trying to optimize for which stages they go.
Yeah.
I think, if they're picking days, I think tomorrow's a pretty good shot at a breakaway day because I think in general the GC crew are not going to be that interested in
going for it
because they're just trying to get through without getting it flat.
Yeah.
That's all they care about. That's been really clear from all the responses. Like, it's not hard enough. They're probably not really going to be attacking each other that much. They're just trying to get through without an issue, and I think we're going to see most of the racing go on in a breakaway group tomorrow.
Yesterday, Remco said that he wasn't expecting any real time gaps between the GC guys. He was just expecting them to all poodle in together. So I think
He didn't say poodle.
No.
He did use the word chronomen though, which I love.
Chronomen was a good.
I need Marvel to buy the rights
in the podcast.
Yeah, we forgot to talk about it or write about it, which is a shame. But he said it with such conviction and
chronomen.
The chronomen. Who are they? Do they fight crime when they're not at bike races? The other thing I'm looking forward to seeing tomorrow, it was someone on Discord, I think, that brought it up, was will Mate Mohoric be allowed to wear his UCI Gravel World Champions jersey? Ooh. I think it should be allowed if he just puts it on and off at every one of the 13 sectors. So, quickly puts it on for the gravel, takes it off, puts it on and takes it off, and he gets a special motorbike. Like in Wallace and Gromit,
it just carries it for him
when Wallace is in bed. And do you know who Wallace and Gromit is? Okay, good.
Yes.
I don't know.
Come on.
You thought you invented Kit Kat, so I just have to check these things. He's in the bed, and then he has the contraption that puts his clothes on, makes his tea, his breakfast, and all that stuff, and gets him ready for the day. Maybe we could have one of them on a Shimano motorbike, just putting the gravel jersey on and off. I don't know. Is that too much to hope for?
That sounds pretty reasonable.
Thanks, Ian. You're always there for me when I need you.
All right. Well, it's going to be a good stage. We're going to take a quick break. Congratulations, Johnny Long. You're through the next round.
England. It's kind of fun having, because last time, I don't know what was different last time. This time I'm much more engaged in the tournament. And it's just fun to have something else going on alongside the Tour de France.
It is good. It's good.
Yeah, summer sport.
Ian doesn't care at all.
I don't care at all.
I enjoy your lack of care for it, though.
I fell asleep in the car whilst they were listening to their football podcast like a pair of fucking losers.
You snored a little bit.
Did I?
Yeah.
And then Jonny drove over. It was the worst drive.
Yeah.
On the smallest road.
It was a small French D road.
The speed bump I treated as a ramp.
And I woke up with a jolt. And they were still talking
about
it.
0.5 seconds, I was Steve McQueen.
We did sweet jumps. And
Radvert. That's what they call it around your neck of the woods, isn't it, Caley?
Quite ready for it.
But I would say that one thing that I do appreciate, what I do like is the French really deeply care about their football, and we had the privilege of watching that yesterday play out. When
so that's where the fireworks actually came from.
Yes, not
just to
be
clear.
I don't think
in Dijon.
People in France are not setting off fireworks.
In Dion Sanders, you mean?
No. Well, maybe twinned with. This is still the main podcast, isn't it? It's not After Dark.
Yeah.
Back to the bike race.
Actually, we're past the bike race section.
Oh, yeah, okay.
We're now into the things we have seen or noticed or experienced.
Can I kick us off? Can I kick us off?
Yeah.
Something that I think we should have mentioned in an early episode, but we kept on forgetting, that I've only started noticing this Tour de France, and I massively appreciate and support, is the food delivery workers.
The Deliveroo,
like Uber Eats delivery.
Yeah. The box on the back guys.
Box on the back guys who will not let the biggest bike race in the world stop them from delivering the meal. So they're constantly trying to cut across race routes. And they manage to do it. It's hard to do it, but they manage to do it.
I feel like there's a bit of... So the dudes that are responsible for not letting people do this...
Yeah.
We used to call them the green shirts. They're not in green shirts anymore.
No, it's all navy.
They're all kind of navy now. But it's the same people. It's literally the same dudes. Some of the same dudes that I have been doing this bike race with for 14 years. And generally, there is not a single thing you could say to dissuade them from their perspective, which is that absolutely fucking not. You are not crossing this road. Now, these guys, the Deliveroo guys, they have convinced them.
I think that I have a pad thai for Vivian is a pretty balancing argument, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think it's more relatable than I want to go and watch a bike race.
Yeah.
Like, everybody kind of understands what it is to want...
To do your job.
Well, to do your job or also
No.
be waiting for some takeaway.
Oh, so you're taking like the landlord side in this, if we're extrapolating out.
I just think that it's more relatable if you are an Uber Eats
Deliveroo is
rider.
usually the
Have you
thing
ever done
over
it?
there, I think. Yeah.
Have I ever done that
Yeah,
job?
yeah.
No, but when I was 12, I was a chemist delivery boy, which was
Like-
great because I got all the Werther's originals I could eat from all of the old people that I was delivering things
Someone-
to, and I got $12 an hour.
Wow. A pro rider did that job in lockdown, I believe, in Italy somewhere. I can't remember who it
Yeah,
was.
that was me.
That's why you grew the mustache. Hide your identity.
Ciao.
One of our members, a Discord user.
JLB1705 sounds a lot like a Bluetooth speaker. I said this joke
Does
earlier.
sound like a Bluetooth
I think
speaker.
that is the 3 initials and his or her year of birth.
Yep.
So we should be trying.
Descendant of Victor
Should we be
Lefay.
trying those 4 numbers when we steal their credit card? Is that the pin? Do we think?
That would be
Well, your cards don't
wildly-
even have pins, which is
That's true.
wild.
Yeah, American cards don't
Yeah,
have
you
pins. We don't need
weirdos.
pins. Anyway, this person reminded us that we had a segment last year that we had completely forgotten about.
Literally the best segment of a podcast that we just completely threw to the side when we began this year's race.
We should have gone and listened to some of our podcasts from last year before
Yeah.
we started making these ones.
Imagine listening to a year-old podcast.
The segment was
That you had recorded yourself.
The segment was, I'm going to keep going here. The segment was, you're in trouble.
Yep.
So for those who were not listening last year and may not remember, the name of this segment came about because one of the most frequent charges of the UCI commissaires on the peloton
The
is
jury
peeing in
report.
public.
Yeah.
And they get put in these thing called the Decision du Jury des Commissaires every day. It shows up. It says number 8. That is stage 8. And every day we get this little like PDF. They used to print them out and give them to you. Like literally, they would print out hundreds of every
And they
single
come
one
around
of
and
these,
put it on your...
and they put it on your desk.
And then
they
there's a
don't do it
revolt
anymore.
within the reporters being like, you're burning trees.
Yeah, because nature.
Forgetting that we're all just driving around France and a lot of people just in solo
Also,
4x4s.
just text it to me. That's what they do now. They just
Yeah,
text
it's
it
much
to us. It's
better.
great. Anyway, we are going to bring back You're in Trouble. Now, unfortunately, on the day that we bring back You're in Trouble, there's very few things that anyone was in trouble for.
But Iain was chasing one from the other day, I
scoops.
believe. Yeah.
Actually, I've got 2 urine troubles, but they're not urinary.
And number 2, you're in trouble. That's a contradiction in terms, really.
A faux poo.
Go on, Ian. Go on.
Okay, so one that I thought was noteworthy was the time I don't know if we've spoken about this on the podcast. It
Anyone
was
way to
before
find
I got
out.
here, when Mark Cavendish won his stage and Jared Drisner just pulled over and watched it happen.
We haven't spoken about that, no.
Okay, so he lost 200 Swiss francs, I think, for bringing the race into disrepute or whatever.
Lost
It
rather than
wasn't
being
a dispute.
fined.
How dare you stop
Slayed.
Whatever bullshit
and watch
excuse.
history?
Yeah, so he stopped to watch the finish because he'd been dropped and
Yeah.
just wanted to see whether Mark Cavendish got his little win. And he did.
He did.
And Jared Drisner's lost 200 Swiss francs.
I don't know how. I can't remember how much that is. I think it's fairly similar conversion to GBP.
It's pretty close to...
Or US dollars.
Yeah, US. Well,
Yeah.
they're all pretty close these days, but
Yeah.
yeah, US.
The economy, eh? Mental.
The other interesting one, which somebody who I can't remember the name of, and I'm going to be too slow to look it up because it was buried deep in the comments section of an article which I didn't write.
Fun.
They wanted to know what happened with Kevin Verkelen, who has become a little bit of a sweetheart of the
Bit of a
press
cult
ring.
hero. What happened to him?
Yesterday, he was fined 500 Swiss francs for egregious bodily contact or something. Like it was quite a strongly worded statement, and none of us really knew what it was
No.
because it
Thought it might be a David Gaudu sort of related incident, egregious bodily contact, but it's quite different, I think.
just some tonsil hockey
Yeah.
at 70 k's an hour. But no, he. So I went and spoke to one of our friends at the ASO, and they pulled up a really shoddy. Sorry, they very nicely pulled up a beautifully shot, wonky little video of Kevin doing
Sweet
like a
Kevin.
full sweet baby Kevin.
Sweet
Was this
Kevin.
publicly accessible video like on Twitter, or was it like, is there a database they access that has the evidence for the fines?
I think this was specifically in the Twitter feed of the guy that I was speaking to, who was just like, "Oh, I remember seeing that."
Oh.
So he was on his own personal.
Oh, I
Twitter
love
and he was
that.
like, "Oh, okay, I'll
It's
show
like
it to you."
organic.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So he went back and found it, and he got Kevin, sweet baby Kevin.
not so sweet.
Article 2.12.007, voie de fait, intimidation, injure, menace, comportement incorrect. So assault, intimidation, insults, threats, incorrect behavior.
Oh my God.
It's quite dire.
Specifically, including pulling the jersey or saddle of another rider, blow with a helmet, knee, elbow, shoulder, foot,
How do you
or
have the
hand.
time for all of this?
Or I don't think he did all these things. I think these are all the things that could be included.
Okay, that makes more
or behavior
sense.
that is indecent or that endangers others. A serious offense.
Yeah,
It seemed like, from the description, it seems like he killed someone.
mate.
But what it was that sweet Kevin just did a sort of hip and shoulder, like swervy.
Okay.
Nobody crashed,
Okay.
but he was just trying to knock someone off a wheel.
So we
That's
don't need
rude.
to talk about Kevin like that.
Well,
He's
Maybe.
not sweet anymore. He's not sweet, Kevin.
We're watching him.
Yeah.
can I
Always
say
watching.
something about Kevin?
Go for it.
One of my
Children.
One of your children.
Yeah. Your offspring.
said that Kevin looks like me.
I do
Really?
not know what Kevin looks like. Has anyone got a photo?
Well, he's kind of got a moustache.
I'm pulling us back here. I don't know. I have no idea what Ian's been talking about for at least 5 minutes. So we're gonna go into.
There you go.
Doing my job.
Performance review in real time. There you go.
Is this what happens?
Yeah. It was rough before you arrived.
Unfortunately, we have no urine troubles for today.
That's fine.
That was a urine trouble for yesterday.
Well, yeah, we were catching
Sweet
up.
Kevin was
Thank
a
God we
urine-
saved them up.
So today, the only things that were in the urine trouble section of the PDF that was sent to us was a notice that in stage 9 feeding will be from kilometer 20 onwards, which doesn't seem like it belongs in this particular section.
Stop the press.
And a note that 32 bikes were checked for technological fraud this morning, including 8 which were x-rayed.
And all of them were guilty as sin.
Not true. None of them were guilty of sin. So anyway, we'll be bringing you urine trouble whenever there's fun things in the urine trouble section.
The Maya Sable. Yesterday, I said I would try and track down Simon Geschke to inform him of his day in the Maya Sable.
But you failed.
Unfortunately, just as he was finishing up his TV interview and then was going to wiggle his way towards me, it started pouring with rain. And so he
It
did
was dumping
the
this morning.
professional rider thing of he knows he's got a written press person to talk to, but he doesn't want to. So even when you call out his name, Simon, and he just rides straight past you without even looking the other way, and it makes you feel just that tiny bit smaller. That it just keeps you hungry, keeps you honest.
Simon Geschke is generally a very nice
Very
man,
nice guy.
but
He
it
was having a lovely interview
dumping
with the
rain.
TV people, so I was
Yeah.
getting very excited to talk to him about all sorts of things, including my Sable, but it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
I don't. It was dumping rain. I got out there pretty quickly afterwards. As I made my way back, though, my reward for getting turned down by Simon Geschke, Brian Cockard had to zoom like underneath my elbow because I was holding up a brolly to prevent myself from the rain. It was a bit touch and go, and I said sorry to him, and as he rode away, he just moved his arm to the side and gave me a thumbs up.
Did he look back or was
Didn't
it...
look back.
So it was just like...
It was a thumbs up because I said sorry, even though I did nothing wrong, and I was just like maybe a tiny bit in the way, even though I had the right to walk there, and he just squeezed under my elbow, and I was like, oh, sorry, and he just went, thumbs
A
up.
little consolation prize.
Consolation prize. That's it.
The thing about Brian Cockard that I enjoyed this morning was that I saw him walking with his wife or partner and young child.
Mm-hmm.
And from context clues, I worked out that it was his child because last year I saw him trying to pass that child through the window of a bus to the DSM bus driver.
The DSM bus driver.
Yeah.
That's bizarre.
The DSM bus driver used to be the bus driver.
Maybe-
Brian
I was
The,
thinking
bus,
maybe.
the bus drivers, they get around.
Do they?
Yeah. Bus driver at Bahrain used to be the bus driver at EF.
You're joking.
Yep.
I preferred the idea that the bus driver at DSM was just really good at getting kids off to sleep, and then the pro riders would just pass their children around. But
Do your
alas,
magic, Jerome.
anyway,
I have a question.
Okay, but what? Before we get to the My Sable,
Yeah, before... Oh, no. Let's do that. Maya Sabla.
Okay.
Who we got?
got a new one. So Simon Geschke, Sling Your Egg, Mate, The Life You Could Have Had. It's a good one. 1 hour, 15 seconds. When life gives you lemonade, what do you make?
Bart Lemons.
Yes. Yes, and more interestingly, that's 85th place, Bart Lemon, so we'll be trying to track him down tomorrow. It might be interesting.
So the direct replacement for Sepp Kuss, who finished like 18th of last year's Tour de France, or 12th of last year, whatever it was, up there. Last year's Tour de France is already the Mile Sable.
Wait, Bart Lemon wasn't at the Tour last year?
Huh?
Bart Lemon wasn't at the Tour last year?
No, Sepp Kuss. He was the replacement for
Sepp
Kuss.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Who finished
Sorry,
in the top, what is he? I can't remember. 12.
Sorry, I'm watching.
This is too meta.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm saying he's a poor replacement for
the
Sepp
other
Kuss.
side.
Caw-caw!
It's brutal.
The Eagle of Durango cannot be replaced.
Snipping at his heels, 59 minutes, 29 seconds. It's only your boy, sweet, sweet Kevin. And then there is a real, if you look at the 10 place below that, it's a real murderer's row of potential inhabitants of the Mile Sable. So, lads, if there's no bike racing in the next week, we'll be fine.
We're working on something else anyway.
Yeah.
I just wiggled my eyebrows, Johnny.
Yep. Thierry Henry gif. What were you going to say?
Well, there's something in the run sheet here that just says Iain asking permission to buy something in the supermarket.
Yes.
So I would
story time.
We need story time.
We stopped off at an Intermarché. Today's drive from the start to the finish was all on D roads, which is bad news because it means you're not going to get to go to a sort of horrible service station with everyone else who works at the bike race to just awkwardly say hello once, and when you pass them 3 more times, pretend they don't exist. So we ended up getting snacks at an Intermarché, and we'd gone around getting various crisps and other things. Yeah, bad grocery store. Like the vibes of Intermarché, the bike team, directly correlate to the vibes of Intermarché, the store.
I would say it's like, for Australian listeners, it's like Audi crossed with like a Dimmies. I don't know if that's a to Melbourne reference, but it's like everything's kind of a little bit dusty and shit, but there's also supermarket and
we don't have an equivalent.
I would say
there's no American equivalent of this.
Costco.
I'm going to go niche.
No, not even that.
The vibe of an Intermarché, and it's on a much smaller scale, but you can put yourself in it. It's the vibe of a Tesco Express, but one of the ones that the shit one in your town, which the layout doesn't make sense, and it's weirdly open past Sunday trading hours, so you know it's really bad and everyone's just in there having a terrible time.
I went looking for a drink bottle because I've been parched for the last 4 days, and I found an aisle which was fishing hooks.
That's fun. Well, that's weirdly that wasn't the main thing you were trying to purchase. We bought the snacks and then you wanted an additional snack, which was some like baked goods or treats. And instead of just putting it down because it was like €2,
you're an adult,
and you asked Caley, who is younger than you, for permission to buy it, which is just the most. It was so deferential. I like made a slight scene of it in the store in front of the clerks,
and one of them could speak English and
loved it.
Loving or hating us, I'm not quite sure.
I think it was just bemused, but yeah, you asked permission.
Yeah,
I don't know, it's nice.
You don't need to ask permission to buy €2 snacks.
Yeah,
they were great. Yeah. They were like these little.
They were nice.
Things.
I'm glad you did it.
Caramelized sugar on the bottom. It was lovely.
And what else is on the sheet?
Well, no, we have a couple of other things to throw to here. So first of all, should we go to Jack or should we go to our listener question first?
Jack first.
Let's go to Jack first. So Jack Haig, friend of the pod.
Yeah.
Racing the Tour de France.
Yeah.
Not as we speak because it's nighttime, but will be again tomorrow. Jack, he filed a little update on how his tour has been going after the TT yesterday. So let's hear from Jack.
Hey everyone, second little check-in. It's the morning of Saturday, stage 8. Just woke up. Yesterday we had the time trial, which is a short race but a long day. I think I woke up at around 8:30, went to leave for the recon around 9:30. Did the recon, took about 45 minutes or something. Drove the half an hour back to the hotel, spent 3 hours just hanging out, chilling at the hotel, had a little bit more food, then drove back to the start of the time trial, hung out in the bus for maybe 45 minutes, an hour, got my time trial suit stuff ready, watched a little bit of the TT, did my warm-up, did the time trial, came back to the hotel. I think I must have got to the hotel around 6 p.m. Had a a little bit of food, small massage, dinner, and then I was actually kind of tired, to be honest, and we had the luxury of staying in the same hotel for 2 nights, which means you don't need to pack up your suitcase, and it's just a nice feeling, to be honest, to have the same hotel for more than one night. And we're actually pretty lucky staying in a Holiday Inn on the outskirts of Dijon. Pretty nice, 2 big double beds. That was a nice little bonus. But now I've woken up and opened the curtains and it's raining outside, which isn't really what I expected to see. But I think it's meant to stop by the time we start racing this afternoon. So hopefully we have dry roads. And then we're on to stage 9 on Sunday, which will be the gravel stage and the rest day. Kind of feels like this first week's gone past relatively quickly. I kind of enjoyed the hard start to the Tour de France we had in Italy. I feel like the peloton's maybe a little bit less stressful and a little bit more maybe safe because people don't take as many risks because there's already massive time gaps. It helps that stage 1 was so hot and there was like a time group on like 14 minutes and the group header was like almost half an hour down. So already there were so many guys that were very clearly out of GC. Anyway, I'll give another check-in in a couple of days or maybe after the gravel stage. And on the rest day, I'll try to record an actual podcast with someone. Maybe my roommate will out. Anyway, see you guys.
As a reminder, Jack does a podcast with us called The Rest Day with Jack Haig. You need to go check it out. You need to subscribe to it because we did this right before the tour, but all of our podcasts are now on separate channels. So rather than if you're listening to this on the free feed, you need to go subscribe to the podcast that you like. You need to subscribe to The Rest Day. You need to subscribe to Geek Warning,
Wheel Talk,
all the rest of them.
How the
because
Racers
they're
Won.
not going to be all lumped into the same feed anymore for many reasons that I don't really need to go into
We've
right
talked
now.
about it internally enough that if we have to talk about it one more time, I might quit.
But it's best for you. It's best for us. And if you like us, then you want what's best for us, right? Is that? Yeah, sure. Anyway, go subscribe to The Rest Day with Jack Haig. Subscribe to all the rest of our pods. Make sure you're not missing those because in this feed this month, yes, you're getting the Tour de France daily, but there's also other podcasts going out.
There are.
There's Geek Warning. There's all the rest. So make sure you go get those. Plus, the Giro is about to start.
Yes.
And Abby's going to be doing pretty regular episodes from the Giro on Wheel Talk. So make sure you are subscribed to those. All right. That's a bit of...
Sorry.
Yeah.
Do you get all of that for $1
You get it for $1.
Yeah.
for the month of July?
Technically, you get all that for free.
Some of them aren't even paying Iain and they're listening right now. And you know what? I bet they don't even feel guilty about it.
They should, because
should.
that is outrageous
Yeah.
value.
Also, we just really appreciate Jack sending these in because it's really cool
Yeah.
to get that kind of insight from the men's peloton. I have tried to get like rider diaries going
No.
a couple different times, and you get them for a bit, and then it sort of peters
He's also
out.
good at it as well, which
He's
is the
good at
difference.
it.
Like he understands how to like
He understands
do
the
the thing.
assignment.
He can do both jobs, but basically we should be worried because he's doing
coming
this
for us
and
all.
doing the main job. So we're kind of screwed.
So thanks to Jack for doing that, and we will continue to bring you insights from Jack throughout the race. We're also just going to catch up with him in the morning every once in a while and see what he's up to. I think it is now time to throw to our listener question. We've been doing listener questions a little bit in Escape After Dark as well, which is the members-only section of this podcast. As a reminder, if you're a member and you're not listening to the members-only podcast, if you just Google Escape Collective Members Podcast, it takes you to a page that only you can access if you're logged in. If you're not logged in, it won't let you in. Once you get to that page, you can click a button. It'll give you the link that you need. Get the members-only podcast. Just as a reminder, that's how you do it. It's very easy. Grab the RSS feed and drop it into your pod app of choice, or just click the link, iTunes, a couple others. Very, very simple. Anyway, this is the question for the free side of the pod.
Just know that there are more of these.
There are more of these.
And After Dark often, and
Many
we'll
more.
also be on the rest day.
Yep. And the whole rest day pod is going to be, quote unquote, behind the paywall. It's going to be members only.
Yeah.
This question, first of all, is great. And I have to commend all of you out
More
there.
like this. The comedic timing.
The comedic timing.
Everything about it's just
You
great.
so we've had a couple. Taylor yesterday. You understand the assignment.
Yeah.
We appreciate
What's
you.
going to cut through and be like, that's
What's
just
going to
going
make us go? We
not
listen
going
to
in
all
the queue
these, right?
for the rest day one. It's just like, we have to do that today.
Yes. We have a big long queue of great questions. So just because your question hasn't been answered yet doesn't mean we don't think it's a great question.
These ones are like the Pikachu.
But these are the ones that are like,
the questions.
We have to answer this immediately. So let's throw over to the question.
Hey guys, this is Brendan in Appalachia. I would to reach out as I spent a few days in Poe this spring, and I think stage 18 or 13 and 14. It doesn't matter. There's a finish and a start in Poe this year. I know you guys have been to Poe in recent tours, so I guess my question is Poe a bit shit? Thanks, guys. Keep up the good work.
I would like to defer to you two for the answers because you two are sort of Poe aficionados.
Big Poe guys.
Big Poe guys. Yeah. What do you think, Iain?
I actually think Poe's good. I look forward to Poe.
I like Poe.
Yeah.
I like Poe every year.
So did you get a hint of
Poe of past?
Well, the question itself seemed to imply that Poe was shit. Did it not?
Well, when you ask a question, it's something.
I would say, actually, like, before my first Tour de France, when I first visited Poe, I thought, purely based on the name, which is funny and a little bit like poo, that it was...
Kind of, not really, yeah, but whatever.
I thought it would be shit, but it's not. It's really lovely.
It's good.
I've had many fond memories there.
We bought shoes.
You
2
buy
years in a row.
shoes all the time.
Yeah.
We have
2
a Poe
years in a row.
tradition. Yeah.
Yeah. I
So
might get on it this
we
year.
have a
I might ask
sneaker off.
permission.
I've bought sunglasses there. I've bought sneakers there.
We had a good night with our mate Dave
Polk.
Dave Polk.
Yeah.
At the weird
And his whole
Australian
family.
bar.
His whole family, yeah. I mean, his 2 young children weren't out there at the bar.
No.
No,
Not
but
sure
they
they
were
did.
there for dinner.
Yeah. We had a great time.
Yeah, I like Poe.
The used to be home to many a doping scandal erupting.
Yeah.
It's also the Pyrenees is a little bit mental, but Poe's like
on the
digestible
edge.
enough.
It's on the edge.
It's like attached to reality before you get into real sort of
Yeah. I mean, just to be
crazy
clear,
town.
when we the way that we experience places at the Tour de France is not the way that these places
holiday.
probably are the rest of the time.
Yeah.
So we don't really know. Like places that we hate might be fine.
Yeah.
Places that we love might be terrible.
I think Clermont-Ferrand is probably in that latter category.
Could be. Wouldn't necessarily want to live there all year, but it was great as a tour stop.
all we had was a good Airbnb and we found like 2 nice restaurants. Like that's basically what we're judging off.
We've just been.
They had like a
bragging
record
about it ever
collection
since.
of like LPs from like your guys' teenagehood that reminded you
listened-
of
we
things,
listened-
and there was a washing machine. Like,
What more do we need?
yeah, exactly.
Well, we listened to Rat-a-Tat last year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got a pizza that was quite good.
we got a poke bowl.
Yeah. There was like Thai food and
So
a poke
everything-
bowl.
Like,
and
we had a
pizza.
nice time, but yeah, do not trust us for recommendations.
But Poe itself, so I will say that I did a ride out of Poe last year with, well, actually now one of our now colleagues, but wasn't at the time.
Who?
Jace.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Well, when we went to that Mexican place,
Yeah,
That was Poe.
was that in Poe?
that's Poe.
Ah, okay. So
Okay,
if this
wild.
is where the question is coming from, we did get shat on by squirrels whilst we were
Yeah, but
in
that was kind of
night.
fun.
It was
shit!
fun.
I
It was
forgot.
a-
I didn't
it
realize
was
that
a
was in
lottery.
Poe with Jace.
Poe.
Yeah, Poe has distinct zones.
But that
Like, there's-
Mexican was good though. Yeah, it does have distinct zones because
Yeah.
that did not feel like Poe at all.
No, that just I don't recall that as Poe.
There's a cool what do you call them? Car race, like old car race. What do you call 'em?
Okay.
Rally.
Yes.
They do that in Poe.
Yeah.
Okay, we've talked about Poe enough.
I
I
was
think
just-
Poe gets a 7.5 out of 10 for me. Good shoe shopping, good spot on the tour.
That promenade which looks into the
Promenade,
mountains,
cool.
that's Poe to me. Is that Poe to you?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
Poe to me.
The big promenade. You can have a beer and you can look out over the Pyrenees. And frankly, what else matters?
Can we have T-shirts that just have that's Poe to me? That's good. It's not good, but it's
Jared,
good.
Jared,
we
if
know you're out
listening,
there.
We know you're out there.
I can see your feet.
Make the merch. Make the
That's an
merch.
In-Betweeners reference. Caley Fret's never seen the In-Betweeners, and we've
don't know what
recommended
you're
them
talking
for the
about.
off-season.
A
Couple more items.
Yeah. So
Or should we save them for after dark?
Yeah, I think it's time.
One of them involves Mark Madio.
And one of them involves my dad.
Yes. Wait,
I don't know which one to go for.
spin the wheel.
Well, before we wrap up today, we need to hear about what Jose's got to say about tomorrow's stage.
Tomorrow is Sunday, so time for a lovely breakfast. Breakfast, as we know it today, actually dates back to the Renaissance. that is when people at the court of Louis XVI started eating bread with butter, which was dipped in hot milk and later in coffee imported from Turkey. But the term petit déjeuner only came in vogue in the 19th century. In French cities, people usually started the day with a piece of baguette and coffee with hot milk or chocolate. In the countryside, they often had bread with soup or even a glass of wine in the morning. The traditional French breakfast, called continental in hotels, invariably consists of several varieties of the star of French bread, the baguette. About 320 baguettes are sold in France every second. France is my favourite country, and I started ordering bread in the boulangerie since I was about 6 years old. And to this day, I still must check what to order. And it also varies regionally, so here's a short summary for you. When you order une baguette, you are asking for a plain white baguette. This bread is required by law in France to weigh 250 grams, and this is your basic baguette. Some French prefer to choose une flûte. This is the thicker and shorter version of the ordinary baguette. Une flûte has a standard weight of 400 grams and is about twice as thick as une baguette, but they're both made from the same flour. And due to this extra thickness, une flûte has proportionally less crust and more soft bread. Une ficelle is the thinner version of une baguette. Although the bread is the same length, it weighs up to just 125 grams. So this baguette contains a lot of crust and little soft bread. Well, to make things more confusing, une ficelle is called une flûte in some regions, while une flûte is the name for a thicker baguette in other regions. My favourite is the tradition, and that is the short name for une baguette de tradition. And these baguettes may only be given this designation if the loaves are baked on site and if the flour contains no artificial additives. These baguettes are often kneaded and risen longer than the ordinary ones. There's also varieties that are a bit more whole wheat, like pain de la campagne, pain au céréales, or pain noir with rye. And next to all these bread varieties, you have the croissant, pain au raisin, and the pain au chocolat. But mind you, the latter has different names in different parts of France as well. Well, bread is a serious thing in France, but sadly more and more artisanal bakers disappear. The countryside in France is becoming less populated, and it's becoming harder for small bakers to keep the business profitable. Many French buy their bread in the supermarket, or, the horror, in bread baking machines on the side of the road. The record for longest baguette is held by the French, of course, but only since May 24. Before that, the Italians held the official Guinness Book of Records record since 2019. On Sunday, the 5th of May, 12 bakers in Paris worked 13 hours to create a baguette of 140 meters and 53 centimeters, and that was almost 8 meters longer than the Italian one. The press release before the event stated, "The dough will be kneaded, shaped on side, and then baked in front of the public in a rolling oven under a tent. It will be made according to the rules of the art with wheat, flour, water, yeast, and salt as the only ingredients." The baguette that had to be at least 5 centimeters thick took 13 hours to make, and after the record was established, the bread was distributed among the locals and the homeless.
All right. We're heading to After Dark. If you are listening to the free version of this podcast, this is the end of the pod. Head over to escapecollective.com/TDF. Get the rest of it.
Just know that we're basically about to do exactly the same thing, but it's just better because we don't have to mind our airs and graces.
We just assume that everything said in After Dark is not legally binding.
Yeah. Or at least the people giving us at least $1 a month are not going to dob us in, which maybe is too much faith. Well, we'll find out. But yeah, we'll see you in Troy.
Yeah, we'll see you in Troy tomorrow. Gravel stage. And the rest of you, hang out. It's After Dark time.